Okay, D&D Maps, I'm all in. What do you got for me? So it's 2024, and I've pretty much done the entire circuit of virtual tabletops that are available to D&D players and dungeon masters in the industry. Now, we do have the virtual table coming out from Wizards of the Coast this year, and I'll add that one to my list as well. But I can't help but thinking that after I've done my tour of all these virtual tables, has it actually really altered the way that I play Dungeons and Dragons, or just provided me with some new tools in order to make playing online a little bit easier? I also can't help but think that the real value of a virtual table is to bring all your tools under one roof. And like I've said in previous videos, a lot of these virtual tables do a lot of things, but for me, I need something that's going to be easy to use, intuitive, and also something that my players can actually use effectively as well. Now, I know it may sound silly, but after all of this traveling around, doing tours of all the virtual tables that I could play, I've actually come back to one very simple virtual table that released late in 2023. Let's have a look. There's two things that I know really well in Dungeons & Dragons. A virtual table does not a dungeon master make, and less is more. So we're talking about Dungeons & Dragons Maps, the add-on to the D&D Beyond tool set that allows dungeon masters and players to basically visualize their tactical combat. By no means this is a complete VTT, and I don't even know why they're releasing it when they do have a 3D virtual table coming out later this year. Now, some people have said that this is going to be a companion project for people who can't run the 3D virtual table using the Unreal Engine. That's got me a little worried, but at the same time, I took a step back and I started to look at what Maps does and what it does really well. First off, it has integration. Now, what I mean by that is that your adventures, if they are pre-purchased through Wizards of the Coast, can get integrated into maps as they roll out, which means you have maps that can just be clicked on as opposed to importing maps and having to scale them for your players. Now, the functionality for that is there as well, but the ease of taking a published adventure and just clicking on it and having all those maps from the module imported into the game is something really awesome. The other thing that's cool is that you don't have to create tokens for all your encounters. You have pre-done tokens, which are basically pulled from the monster manual in your campaign. Now, of course, you're going to want to alter art to accommodate the different design choices that you have, but as easy as clicking on the monster and putting it into your adventure, it's there. Now, there are a couple things that might be a little bit concern for me, but I'm hoping that the design team is actually going to take care of this in the months ahead. Now, the fluidity of D&D Maps can't be understated. I find that moving tokens around, accessing information, there's no slowdown whatsoever. Now, that can be attributed to the fact that it doesn't really have a robust tool set, but for the time being, it's really great. So D&D Beyond Maps is not without its flaws. As of this moment, whenever I create encounters using the beta tool in D&D Beyond, it doesn't stitch over to D&D Maps. So I end up having multiple windows open conducting encounters. The other problem that I have is that the tokens themselves don't have a lot of functionality. You can't alter the shape of the tokens on the fly. You can go in and change the size, so therefore rendering it differently on the table, but there's no real manual controls over the tokens. Now, the biggest flaw, and I think the biggest thing that a lot of people aren't happy with, is that there's no token integration when it comes to the D&D Beyond character sheet. You can't click on the token and have a bar showing you how many hit points that character has. You can't pull up any kind of skills by clicking on it. There's really no functionality when it comes to actually connecting to the D&D Beyond character sheet. And I stress yet. I think that's a basic functionality that a lot of tabletops have, and they haven't implemented it yet because I think they're going to try and do it right this time. The thing that you have to tread with a virtual table is how many digital tools you're putting in front of the player versus how much are you going to strip away that sort of flavor of playing D&D at the table. And I think the D&D Beyond Maps is doing a good job at the moment, just giving us the tools that we need and not necessarily going too far off the deep end and giving us a plethora of digital tools that might just bog down the gameplay session. As they say, the future is bright. And I think as time goes on, D&D Maps is going to evolve and grow as a really good companion to the new virtual table. I'm going to be using it now along with my custom voice channel in Discord, and I'm really optimistic that I'll be able to dial down to the basics of D&D. I'll be using maps as my tactical grid, but as far as theater of the mind gameplay, that's where it's at for me. So wish me luck, and if you have any questions about D&D Maps and how to integrate it into your games, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. I hope you're having fun playing Dungeons & Dragons out there, and we'll talk soon. Before you go, I need your help. I'm trying to grow the exposure of what we do here at Maverick Games. My goal is to actually bring information to parents and students for fun, academics, and even support of neurodivergency. Please subscribe and make sure you click on those notifications. I don't do paid ads or sponsorships. I hope that you can find content here that's enjoyable for yourself and maybe others. Thank you very much, and thanks for tuning in.